gentlemen, excuse me, we are ready to proceed with the evidence in the case. Mr. Ribbon.
Good morning, Officer Rash. Officer Rash, I want to go back through your direct examination and some of the things you've described for the jury. You talked about initially kind of Satilla Shores as a neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Would you agree with me that Satilla Shores is a nice middle-class scenic neighborhood on the Little Satilla River?
Yes.
And you described the folks who live there as primarily elderly, right?
Yes, sir.
There are some people who have kids.
Yes, sir.
They play outside.
Yes, sir.
The adults walk the streets, work in their yard, and enjoy the river.
Yes, sir.
You've been patrolling that neighborhood for how long?
7, 8 years, maybe.
Okay. And you've gotten to know quite a few of the residents through your work, for instance, canvassing the neighborhood.
Yes.
You may not know them all by name, but you recognize faces,
Yes.
right? And you've also gotten a chance, because you're a member of the neighborhood Facebook page, to review some of the posts some of the times on the page.
Yes.
And this Facebook page is actually a pretty good tool for you, isn't it?
It can be, yes.
Because people on Facebook will post about crime in the neighborhood.
Yes.
They'll post about their fears about crime in the neighborhood.
Yes.
They'll post about their suspicions about crimes in the neighborhood.
Yes.
And how often would you say you review the Facebook page in Satilla Shores?
Only when I knew that there was something going on. If I knew there was an incident today, then I would go today or tomorrow, start looking to see what people would post.
Okay. So we're talking about today, this time period between October 25th, 2019 and February 23rd, 2020. During that time period, approximate for the jury how many times you looked at the Facebook page to see if this black male was seen, the one seen at Larry English's house, was seen by other neighbors or talked about by neighbors in the neighborhood.
I don't believe I could put a number on that.
More than 5?
More than 5, yes.
Okay. And in reviewing the Facebook page, did you learn about other crimes not committed by or suspected by the black male in the Larry English house, but by other people who were missing lawnmowers and suspecting other intruders and things like that?
No, I did not.
Okay. Are you saying there were no other posts, or you just don't recall them?
I don't recall any other.
Okay. You're not saying there weren't posts by people like Brandon Gregory's father-in-law? You're not saying, I'm just asking if you're saying that.
Well, Hearsay and the Facebook posts there's nobody here to testify to those Facebook posts and putting it out there that, well, have you seen this and that? At this point, the Facebook posts are hearsay as to what anyone said or did.
Well, I think we just have a name of a person that may have posted, so.
I'll rephrase. Are you aware of posts by other people in Satilla Shores about crimes or suspected crimes in the neighborhood?
I don't recall any specific, no, I do not.
Okay. In Satilla Shores lives one of your peers, Sergeant Brandon Gregory.
Yes,
You know Sergeant Gregory.
I know Sergeant Gregory.
Do you know Sergeant Gregory's father-in-law?
I do not know his father-in-law.
Okay. In canvassing the neighborhood, did you ever speak to Sergeant Gregory?
Sergeant Gregory, yes, I have.
Okay. And he gave you some information about his suspicions about the black male who was entering Larry English's house, correct?
Yes, he did.
Okay. In fact, we didn't see it, I don't think, on the video of February 11th, but he shows up on scene February 11th, doesn't he?
He does, yes.
And he provides you with information about a black male that he suspects is committing crimes in the neighborhood.
Yes,
Okay. Did you follow up on that in any way?
I did.
And turned out?
The elderly couple at the house where he saw them was an elderly black male and female that lived there, and neither one of them, I spoke to the male. The female was in the residence, but she was out of sight. They claimed they did not have any kids, any grandkids, and the male who answered the door did not recognize the male on the picture.
the picture that you were showing.
I was showing.
And that picture, to be clear, was a still of the October 25th video.
Yes, it was.
And that's the one that you used throughout.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, let's go back then to then what you knew about crime in the neighborhood during this time period. You were aware that Travis McMichael was a victim of a theft, correct?
Yes.
You were aware that Ronnie Olson was a victim of a theft.
Ronnie Olson?
Man who lived across the street. We see him saying, "I can light this
Yeah, I
place
know
up."
who Ronnie Olson is, but I don't recall any crime at his place.
Okay. Were you aware that Diego Perez was a victim of theft?
I was not aware of Diego Perez either.
Okay. So the only one you're aware of then is, just in that little part of the neighborhood, is Travis McMichael and Larry English.
That, and I would say the Herndon residence is that general area of the neighborhood.
And that's down Jones Road.
On Jones Road itself?
Do the Herndons live on
No,
Jones?
not on Jones. They live on Satilla Drive, the same as the corner of Satilla and Zellwood, the same as where Mr. English's property is.
Further up towards Highway 17,
Yes, sir.
towards the entrance. Okay. So let's go back then to the beginning, which is October 25th, 2019.
Yes, sir.
There's a call from Larry English to Glenn County Police, and you get dispatched.
Yes.
And you get dispatched with other police officers as well, correct?
Yes.
An officer, and I may pronounce it wrong, Burgadius? Burgaitis, and an Officer Dixon.
Officer Dixon, yes.
Okay. And if you don't recall, I can show you these to refresh your memory. You go out there, the property that you're going to, is this your first time on the property?
First time, yes.
It's 10 o'clock at night,
Yes.
it's dark.
Yes.
You go onto this construction site, but it's a house
Yes.
under construction. And tell the jury what you did when you arrived on scene.
Without going back through my camera, I arrived on scene and walked through, checked the property for the individual that was called upon.
Okay, and you knew from the video, this is the clip, and I'm looking at State's Exhibit 121.
Yes.
You knew from looking at this clip,
I'm sorry.
you can answer that. You knew from looking at this clip that, this is the clip Larry English sent you.
Yes.
And what you knew about the incident he's complaining about is there's a black male on his dock at 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
A guy who has no authority to be there
Yes.
and no legitimate reason that you know of to be there.
Exactly.
Okay. And so described by Mr. English as plundering around his house. And that's a word you've used in your direct examination. You reviewed the video. Did you review it when you got on scene or before you got on scene?
Afterwards.
Afterwards.
I had him send it to me afterwards.
Okay. When you get on scene, the house is dark. Now, you described the black male as a light-skinned black male, but you understand that the color of his skin depends on the camera that's taking the picture.
Okay, I'm not all into the technology of the infrared. Based on what I see there, that looks like a light-skinned black male.
Okay.
What his natural skin looks like in daylight hours, I have no knowledge of that
Okay.
until video at a later time,
On February 23rd.
February 23rd.
And you've looked at that video?
Yes.
Okay. So the male's there on screen, in your video clip, but you get up there on scene without the clip and you go to the dock.
Yes.
You have your flashlight,
Yes.
you have your revolver.
Yes.
Is it out?
I don't believe it's out at that time.
Okay.
I don't
Because
recall.
no one's described anybody being armed at that point.
No, sir.
Okay. Go through the house,
Yes, we do.
flashlight,
Yes, sir.
because without that flashlight, it is pitch black in the house.
Yes.
Okay. You look around, you don't see anything of note, right?
No, sir.
You don't see anybody of note.
No, sir.
Okay. And you leave. And you file your police report, right?
Yes, sir.
But then you get the video clip, right?
Yes, sir. Well, I
And-
get it before I leave the property that night.
Okay, so you had it before you leave.
Yeah.
So just in case, as you're driving around the neighborhood, you see someone who fits that description.
Yes.
Okay. You understood also on October 25th that when he left Larry English's house, this unidentified black male, he went across the street to Sue B. Lawrence's house.
Yes.
And
Objection. We have an issue we need to take up outside the presence of the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could go ahead and retire to the jury room.
It's all right for jury.
Almost lost somebody.
Seated.
All right.
I don't necessarily know that he needs to step down for this.
Okay.
All right.
You just-
Your Honor, Ms. Sue B. Lawrence was not at home on October 25th, and she then tells Diego Perez something, and then Diego Perez tells this officer something. I asked Mr. Rubin, are you gonna go into this? Because it's hearsay within hearsay within hearsay, because Diego Perez is telling him something that Sue B. Lawrence said. And he said, no, I'm not gonna go into that. And then you knew that he went towards Sue B. Lawrence's house. So the only way this officer would know that is if Diego Perez had told him that, and if Sue B. Lawrence had told Diego Perez. So now we're into triple hearsay here. And, I mean,
Well, let's clarify.
so I didn't ask for any hearsay in that question. And the way and this is why I was asking, the way he knows he went towards Sue B. Lawrence's house is because Larry English made a second 911 call that's in evidence on October 25th saying he's going across the street to the whitish yellow house, and he went there. It's not hearsay. It's exactly what he did.
Okay, so I asked the question. So the question I thought was, and he ran to Sue B. Lawrence in the direction of Sue B. Lawrence's house.
Correct. And that's in the 911 call. He doesn't mention Sue B. Lawrence by name, but he describes the house, and in fact, Officer Rash went there.
Where did you learn that information?
I could not recall if it was actually from dispatch or while I was on scene with because Diego Perez was out walking around that night. And until I did not know exactly, did it come from dispatch or Sue B. Lawrence, or from Diego Perez?
Is he one or the other? Let's just clarify that, and we can move on from there then.
And I'm not asking what Diego said or anything like that.
Okay. That's fine. Now that it could be one or the other.
and that was my concern. It's like, we're going down this path where we're into triple hearsay, and I just
Well,
want to cut it off before we get
Sounds
there.
like. Yeah, I'm not going to address anything then before the panel. I understand what the witnesses testified to, and there's the possibility of two different reasons for him having that knowledge. You're welcome to follow up on directly. All right, let's go get the panel.